to them, which is pretty twisted, being that it was from the Jewish stock that the whole time of the Gentiles, the Gentile church was created or birthed from the Jews, but they don't see that. So the restrictions put on Jews, they were not allowed to own private businesses. They weren't allowed to own property. They weren't allowed to do anything. The only thing that was left for them to do to carve out some kind of living was banking, usury, loans and financing. It was the only thing they could do. So they did it, and guess what? They did quite well. So when you speed up to the 1930s, then during this time of hardship, Jews actually fared out very well. And for one reason, they had a strong sense of family ties. They helped each other out. They stayed in unison with one another, and they worked together. And guess what? Even in the worst of times, they got the best of times. They actually were on top when everybody else was suffering. Well, what happens when that happens? Everybody else,
jealous.
They're jealous, and then they're full of hate. There is a promise for us as Christians that even through the times that we're going through, in the times of martial law, we can be blessed. We don't have to be subject to the to whatever chastisement the rest of the world's going through, or the rest of that our country is going through, because we have stood our ground. We have opposed those things that are ungodly. We have opposed a government that thinks they're smarter than God and overrules God's laws. So we're standing our ground. But you know what? And we are going to be on top of this. I truly think that we don't have to fear as being without hope like the rest of the world does for the things that are coming upon us. God has his protective hand upon his faithful remnant. We're going to weather through this. We're going to work together as a family. We're going to survive. We're going to not only survive, many of us are going to thrive in this time. Because of that, the hatred comes upon us. What makes them so better? There's the jealousy. And we're already starting to see some of this in some ways, but we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg yet. When martial law and full persecution comes, that's when God's people will rise to the surface and be glorified by God and walk in the supernatural. And that's going to cause a double whammy of hatred against us. It just as it did with the Jews. And there will be Holocaust. And guess what? Just as the gospel was presented, to the Jew first and also the Greek? Well, so is Satan's wrath to the Jew first and then also the Greek. It's our turn this time, and we'll go through it. And we talked before about America and, who's going to be leaving. And there's going to be a time, America is Babylon, and God's going to talk by his Spirit to tell American Christians, get out of Dodge. Maybe by the time he does that, it's not going to take an epiphany or a wide awakening to find out. I mean, most people are going to say, oh my gosh, we got to get out of this country. They hate us, just as the Jews had to do out of Germany, out of Europe. It's going to happen. So, I mean, these things are not any different from what's already happened in the 30s. If you want to understand what's going on in America today, well, you could read Mein Kampf like I did. I'll tell you, you read Mein Kampf, you read Albert Pike's Moral and Dogma, you read Helena Blavatsky's Anything, Secret Doctrine. It is so filled with psychobabble, maniacal nonsense. And they're all three hard reads. They're very hard to read. But you can see the strategies, actual quotes that sound identical to to Obama and even to Trump. Oh yeah, guys, folks, people, I'm telling you, all of you that are all geeked up and thinking Trump is the greatest thing that's happened to America, he's a liberator. He is an expert, smooth-talking, silver-tongued guy that just knows what you need to hear and what you want to hear. And he's telling you what he wants you to hear and what he wants you to know. Look at his history of his corporations, how they have gobbled up little mom-and-pop owned places. The things he says he's wanting to protect, he has eaten up and spit out. He's a corporate fascist. He's not a capitalist.
No.
He's not. And
no, not at all.
All the words he's saying are sweet talk, bovine excrement. I really think, now I can't look into his heart, I don't know, but I can assure you by the trail that he's left, the historical trail that he has left in his past, would totally indicate that the man is a corporate fascist. He's still part of the good old buddy club. I got to confess, Dave, I get a kick out of listening to him talk because he's stirring Congress. He's showing the congressmen on both sides of the fence and the senators how much of a hypocritical idiots they really are. Yeah. And I love it. He's stirring a pot up. But I also realize he's stirring it up because that's what the powers are telling him to do. That's what
Hmm.
they want him to do. Now, I don't know what their ulterior motive is down the line. Could it be to just effectively dilute the Republican Party so that nobody from the right is ever going to get in office? Because everybody will be divided. Will he end up getting his own third party going? I don't know. We haven't played that out yet, but I certainly don't think that if all the things that he says he would like to do or wants to do, if he even thought about starting half of them, the powers that be would have him, he would have a plane crash, a heart attack, or just a blatant bullet in the head by some
Hmm.
wacko. But it would be,
Yeah.
just like what happened to Kennedy. But so here I am saying, yeah, well, Kennedy was a Democrat, but you know what? He was a Democrat that was ready to fight the New World Order. He was ready to
That's right.
eliminate the Federal Reserve. I mean, there were so many things that got that man killed, and it was because he was standing up against the New World Order. So
Hmm.
anybody else in this day and time thinks they're going to do the same. They're going to end up just like Kennedy. I don't think that would happen to Trump. I think if he got into office, um, all the rhetoric that he spoke of would become just that rhetoric. He
Yeah.
would never really accomplish much of anything. What he did accomplish would be just like what the bushwhackers did to us, thinking in the name of, the epiphany for me. It was almost like a scene out of Star Wars where the emperor is addressing all of the Federation of Planets and everything, and it's like, man, it sounds like Hitler. It sounds like Obama. Gee whiz, man, this is not a good thing. And
Well,
it's
when you look at him, Jim, you look at his mannerisms, and what did Hitler come? When did Hitler come? He came when Germany was in a time of crisis, and he came making great promises. And I see the same thing with Trump. He's coming in a time of crisis, and he's coming making outlandish promises that, like you said, I don't think he'll ever get to keep, or will ever if he even got into office. But even looking at his mannerisms, Hitler didn't care what he said, just as long as he was getting his message out there. He didn't care about offending anybody,
right.
and he offended quite a few people, but he really didn't care about doing that. And even when Trump talks, some of his mannerisms, his body language, is very similar. If you happen to just stop and look at it, if you could put the two side by side and compare them, there are a lot of similarities there. So and the one thing that really bothers me, when Israel came into the land, they lived there for a while, and there were judges in the land, and so the Israelites cried out, "We want a king like all the other people," and so God got fed up, and He says, "Okay, you want a king? I'll give you a king," and He gave him Saul, and Saul wasn't the greatest king in the world. And so now people are like, "Well, you know what? This presidency stuff isn't working, the way it is right now, because it's becoming more of a dictatorship than anything else. We want somebody that's going to come and liberate us." And on the scene comes Donald Trump. I'm going to come and liberate you. I'm going to make things right. And I just see so many parallels between the two men. It's kind of scary, Jim, to watch it. The way good meaning Christians are kind of like drooling looking at this man. Like, oh yeah, he's our answer for everything. And who's really our answer for everything? Jesus is our answer for everything, not Donald Trump or not any other human figure, right?
Would and I do mean to get punny. Would he be the sound of the last Trump?
That's cute. I like that.
Please, don't use, because the next thing you know, we're going to see video YouTube's the last Trump. God,
Yeah.
somebody's going to do it. I mean, look at September 38. I mean, 23rd. My goodness, from all these movies, movie prophecy. 20 apocalyptic things are going to all happen at one time, like we talked about in our last show. So,
Hmm.
oh no, 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 no. Let's not go there. But
Yeah.
it's none of this is new stuff. It's all been played out before, and it's going to come to the same end as before too. A book that I strongly suggest anybody to read. It's by a lawyer in my own hometown here, Constance Cumby. It's called "The Hidden Dangers Behind the Rainbow," and she does an excellent job of comparing Nazism with the New Age movement. They are one in the same. One is an Old Testament version of theosophy based on bloodline and national identity, and now it's been repackaged to be offered to whosoever will believes that man becomes their own god. Through the guise of the New Age movement, the New Agers and the Nazis are one in the same, because the New Agers are the New Testament theosophy. offered to whosoever will may come, no longer based on bloodline and national identity, but the same ideology, the same necessity for a higher evolved human to take over where the lessers are left behind. It's the same message, and it's going to have the same conclusions. So it does look, people get freaked out. You're calling me a Nazi. Well, you're embracing the same beliefs. So if you want to call yourself that, fine. I'm just saying you're the New Testament version of Nazism, one based on the law and a national identity and a bloodline, and the other based no longer on a law but on a grace to accept science, technology that will enable you to become your own God. So yeah, they're one and the same. In my book, I took it a next step further. I said not only are New Agers and Nazis one and the same, but the whole alien agenda is just nothing more than an extension of the things that happened in Nazi Germany. We have the crap, we have the message, we have the experiments that are going on that are identical to what happened in Nazi Germany in the death camps. They're looking for the same genetic traits, those with Rh negative blood, those with basically Caucasian, blonde, or red and blue eyes of Nordic Celtic descent, those with twins in their family, those with 6-digit fingers or hands and feet in their bloodline or in their history. So, I mean, these are the same things the Nazis were looking for, the same things that the aliens are looking for, because they're one and the same, just a continuation and extension. And unfortunately, it bled through and into the United States of America as being the premier leaders of this whole deception and delusion. So when we hear, I mean, Dave, there was about 8 years ago, I wished I would have went back home, and even blew a day off of work. I should have done this. I should have went back home, should have got my camera, and then on the highway, I should have took a picture of this billboard. It was a billboard for Tyson Steel, and if you follow the money trails for Nazi Germany, Tyson Steel, Krupp Ironworks, and BFG here in America, but it was come on, the ones that made Zyklon B. I can't think of IG Farben. There was this huge billboard, and it was primarily for Tyson Steel, but it included Krupp Ironworks and IG Farben. It had a picture, and it said, one nation, one world, one company.
Wow.
Eins Reich, eins Volk, eins Führer. I mean, it's just crazy. It was just echoing the same kind of rhetoric that happened in Nazi Germany. Only this is under the corporate banner of Tyson Steel. All three of those companies were the premier funders and financiers for the National Socialism in Nazi Germany. They are also some of the premier financiers here, supporting Planned Parenthood, supporting what is that organization? ACLU. I mean, just everything that would undermine and disrupt this country. IG Farben has what they could not defeat in a battlefield. They are now buying the capitalist way. They are now buying up. So, like where George Soros is focusing on buying American munitions manufacturers and gun manufacturers, IG Farben has bought up all the pharmaceutical companies, either through hidden, like through secondary subsidiary companies, but they're all initially owned by him. They've controlled different various aspects of manufacturing, welding supplies. You might think, well, how big is that? Everything that's manufactured is nowadays. So they've cornered that market completely. In Motown, Detroit, Motor City, we have probably 20 welding supply places, and they're all owned by Airgas, which is owned by IG Farben. I mean, they're all owned initially by the same people. They have broken down our system of having everything standardized, so it's free exchange of parts that will fit all the different manufacturers. And now they've destroyed that completely. You have to buy separate parts for separate things. Nothing is interchangeable, and it creates in industry, it creates a horrible problem. They've deliberately struck this, beat this out. Now, this is just a